What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the official BFC show. Today we're going to be breaking down all of week 2's BFC, which was probably the craziest we have ever had, and we're going to be joined by Mo, who's an official BFC caster. He has all the insight on the players, the matches, and some leaks and rumors coming up for the next week. We're going to be going through all of that and some of the topics today. They're pretty crazy, guys, such as Clix and Bucke, the collapse. This duo was so hyped coming into the 2v2 BFC this week, and they just didn't do it. They couldn't pull the trigger. They went out early into the tournament at the hands of Yoldi and Slappin. We'll be discussing that. As well as that, guys, we have, of course, the most epic match in BFC history that went over 37 rounds. I'm talking about FaZe Sway and Dubs versus Reet and Day. That was a crazy match, guys. We're going to be breaking down how it went so long, why Day and Reet were able to overcome FaZe Sway and Dubs, who are just veterans here in the BFC. As well as that, guys, we're talking about Unknown, Kanata, what's been going on with them, how come Kanata hasn't been able to perform as he used to in the BFC. There's so much we're going to be going over, guys, and I do just want to say thank you so much to our sponsors, ESTV. Thank you for letting us be here on this amazing channel. You guys are incredible. Of course, HyperX providing us with all the amazing gear to host the events, and G Fuel and Repeat, they're just powering the whole thing. So thank you so much to all of them, guys. But now we're going to go ahead and hop into an interview with Mo, and we're going to go over the entirety of week 2 BFC. All right, guys, we are joined here by Mo, an official caster for BFC. How's it going, Mo?
Yo, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on the official BFC show. I'm excited. Let's talk about the BFC, man.
Of course, man. And I mean, first things first, what's it like being a caster for the BFC? You get to sit there and watch every single match and enjoy it fully. What's it like?
That's right. I mean, being an official BFC caster is simply amazing. I get to follow the storylines of the BFC every single week. Seeing the rivalries in the Fortnite community blossom every single time these players play, I get to cast and analyze some of the best mechanical and flashy plays in Creative Zone Wars match in real time. It's amazing as a fan, and for my own brand, it's a great opportunity that I'll always be thankful for.
Hey, man, you are one of the best casters in the game, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of great plays and great players over your time. I mean, why don't you just give us a list? Who do you think are some of the best players in the BFC, in your opinion?
Well, right now, I mean, everyone's talking about this Reet kid who came out of nowhere, right? But, Clix is obviously up there. Unknown Kanata will always be up there. Bucke, another underrated player, always going to be up there. So there's a lot. I actually think that every single player in the BFC is mechanically gifted and talented beyond measure. It's awesome to see and watch.
Yeah, they're all very talented. That is true. Who are some of your favorites to watch, though? Whenever you're about to cast a BFC or it's the day before, which match or which player are you looking forward to watching the most, and why?
It's very interesting because I have three. I love Clix. Who doesn't like Clix? I also like Sway, another player to watch, right? But in my opinion, I think the best and most exciting player to watch is Yoldi, KNG Yoldi. And that's because he usually wins the most out of every single player in the BFC. He has 6 championships, So seeing him play and seeing, will he go for the 7th? Will he go for the 8th? Will he win next week? Is just something that really excites me, the day before BFC and casting it.
Okay, I could agree with that. Yoldi's very exciting. Obviously, he makes big plays, and he's a super calm player. When you look at someone like Clix, who gets excited, Sway, Dubs, they're always screaming, but Yoldi, he's more on the calm side. And for me personally, my favorite and most exciting player to watch when it comes to the BFCs, unfortunately, we didn't get it last week or the week before, but it's Kanata because of the trash talking, being able to hear him just go off and talk about how he's dominating, he's so good, you can't stop him, etc. But unfortunately, like I said, we weren't able to listen to his trash talking, and he wasn't able to communicate to the players he's going up against in the previous 2 BFCs because he is currently banned on Twitch. We won't go into why he's banned, but he is, and because of that, we're not allowed to have his voice on our Twitch, and neither are his teammates. So they set up their streams so that way no one can hear him talking besides them when they're playing, so they can still communicate. Do you think that hurt him last week in the trios? Because they have won trios before. What's your thoughts?
It's actually really funny you said that. Predicting the BFC before I saw it play out, I actually predicted Kanata and Unknown winning. I thought they would have the best duo synergy. They've won the last duos in season 1, so I thought, you know what? Unknown Kanata, they're gonna win. They have to, right? But I did not know that Kanata was not going to be able to communicate to the other team. I think the psychological impact of his trash talk It really is a huge advantage for Kanata and Unknown. I think he really gets under the skin of the opposing team. I see it time and time again. He's a force to be reckoned with mechanically, but adding his trash talk to the game, it could really spook anybody. It's even Clix, you know. He gets under some of the best players' skin, and it really helps his play. But not having that this week, even though they got second place, I think they could have won maybe, or could have done a lot better with the trash talk of Kanata.
Absolutely. I mean, that was one of the biggest things for me, Kanata not being able to communicate with the enemy team. You know, you think about that and you're like, well, why is that such a big deal? You know, you shouldn't communicate to the other team. But in his case, he loves getting in the opponent's head. So it did hurt him. And we're moving into the next week, right? It's going to be 4v4s. Now that means Kanata, Unknown, and Bucke, they're probably going to get back together. They always play unless it's like a duos tournament. You know, they got to split up for that. I'm not sure who's going to be their fourth. They've played with Creo before, but I don't think Creo's all that into zone wars anymore. So I think they're looking for a new fourth. But outside of them, Mo, who do you think has the best shot going into the 4v4? And I don't know if you know this though. Guess who's teaming up, Mo?
Tell me.
It's going to be FaZe, Sway, and Clix. They're going to be on a 4-man roster together, and I believe their two teammates are going to be Melody and Scrubs.
Wow, I mean, that's literally amazing. Clix and Sway on the same team. That's a stacked roster, adding Melody and Scrubs too. Scrubs is another player, MVP pretty much of week number 1. That's a dangerous roster, but that leaves, you know, Yodi, Dubs looking for a squad. They could be dangerous as well, so we'll see what happens here. Honestly, I think that Clix Sway team, and this might be the first time I believe Clix and Sway are playing together.
It is. This is the very first time they've played together. Now, here's the thing. Sway has won a 4v4 Zone Wars before here at the BFC, and so has Clix. The time that Sway won, he played with Melody, Dubs, and I believe Yoldi. And then the time that Clix won, he played with Dubs, Yoldi, and I think it was also Melody there. So they basically had the same team. It was just Sway swapped out for Clix because I believe Sway couldn't show up that 1 week in the 4v4, so Clix subbed in and they took it. So they both have a win in 4v4, but it wasn't together, and this will be the first time they're teaming up.
Now, you know, 4v4 is going to be chaotic, TFG. It's going to be really chaotic. You know, people are going to be screaming left and right. 4 players on the same team, that's going to be loud. There's going to be so many moving pieces. I think the team that's the most calm and the most organized will probably win the BFC. So with that team, even though they're so mechanically gifted, anything could happen. Yoldi could create this superstar team that, you know, are just calm. Maybe even Zexro might do good this week. Who knows? It's just going to be really interesting. And honestly, Unknown, Kanata, and Bucke, I don't know who their fourth is, but that's also a very strong team. So, and maybe Reed and Day, I don't know who they're playing with. There's just so many superstars in the BFC. It could be anybody's game.
Yeah, no, it's going to be up in the air big time because I actually do know Reed's team, and it's an action-packed one. It's a lot of players we've never seen compete in the BFC before. We're actually going to be bringing in Epic Whale, Edgy, and Arkham teaming up with Reet, which is a full West team, Mo, an entire West team. So Day and Reet are not going to be competing together. I actually gave Day a separate spot, so he's going to be building a team as well. So that could be interesting seeing Reet and Day go up against each other. They were the duos champions, but they're splitting up for 4v4s, and I think that's because Reet, he really wants to prove to these East players that the West players are better, and they can do it on the East servers, which means they're going to have like 70, 80 ping every single one of them. So what's your thoughts on a lot of those players? You know, Edgy's actually on East, so there will be 3 West players. Edgy's on East. I forgot about that, so we'll point that out. But the other 3, Arkham, Epic Whale, and Reet, are all West players. So what's your thought on that roster?
Honestly, that roster is really dangerous. We've seen Edgy play. You know, he's never won a BFC, but he's played really good, right? I've seen him kill Dubs many times on high ground. But let's talk about Epic Whale and Arkham. Epic Whale and Arkham are one of the best competitive players in all of Fortnite. And now the question that I want to see, or the question that I want to ask is, can that skill translate into creative, against Clix, Unknown, you know, some of the best East players? Will ping have a factor? I mean, it didn't matter last week when Reet and Day won, right? They beat almost everybody on West. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Can they defeat that FaZe, Sway, and Clix team? I'm not too sure, but you never know with Reet, man. You literally never know. This kid is God-gifted.
He absolutely is. So when the last time we saw Edgy play in the BFC, it was in the duos with Scented, and they did pretty decent. I think they made it to the losers final bracket. They ended up losing out to it was possibly Unknown and Canada, but Edgy did play. He did good. As for Epic Will and Arkham, I mean, as you said, two of the best competitive players in the world. They are indeed the two best West players. Historically, no one has come close to performing as well as Arkham and Epic Will across tournaments. Not even close. They are so dominant. So will Ping be a factor? I honestly don't think Ping will be that much of a factor. I really don't. And I never thought it was that much of a factor, to be honest. I feel like a lot of players get in their head about it. But if you're just like Reet and you're full of confidence and you know that no matter what the circumstance is, all it comes down to is if you hit the shot, you hit the shot. If you do the right edit, you do the right edit. You come out on top. And I think that's his mindset. And it worked for him in the last week.
And, something I want to say about Reed, something so amazing about Reed is, one, he came in there with nothing to lose and everything to prove, right? Everybody expected this kid to lose in the very first round to Unknown Canada, like, who is this kid in his debut? But you know what? He beats Unknown and Canada 5-3. And I'm sitting there, I'm casting, I'm like, oh my God, that was an amazing match. What an upset. Unknown Canada was probably just having a bad day. Well, the next round, Reed takes down Sway and Dubs in a 19-17 Zone Wars victory. And once that happened, I knew this kid was the real deal. Playing in that long of a match and staying focused and having the will to win and upsetting the FaZe boys, just seeing it all unfold was, unbelievable. And also, I think Reed just has God-gifted mechanics. His beams were very effective. His pump shots were landing throughout the entire event. He went in there with nothing to lose. He played fearless, played confidently, and simply destroyed everybody in his path. But something we didn't see last week in the BFC is Reet versus Clix. Now, this is a matchup that should intrigue everybody. It's something that I want to see in the future, and hopefully we see that next week if they're matched up, 4v4s, but having Reet and Clix on opposite sides of the end is going to be really interesting. And, many people in the Fortnite community are saying that Reet is the next Clix, and, this is his time to shine. And this matchup is something that I'm sure Clix is also intrigued of. And I'm sure Clix would also want to see what all the hype is about and would definitely love to go up against him. And, that would be a battle of the titans, so I can't wait for that. Hopefully we see that in the very next week of the BFC.
So you mentioned the FaZe Sway and Reet match. That was historic. That was one of the longest Zone Wars matches we've ever seen in BFC. It's the #1 longest match, probably the most intense, and in history of watching wagers, I've never seen anything like it, Mo. What was it like just sitting there watching and listening and commentating that match? What was going on in your mind?
I was just like, which team is going to rise above it and finally get 2 rounds in a row, because that's the rules, right? It's first to 5, win by 2. Well, at a point, it was 17-17. I mean, this was literally an hour-long Zone Wars. It's something that we've never seen before. Literally historic. I just want to see which players would rise above it. And you know what? Since I think that Sway and Dubs, they're the veterans, they have the most experience. This is just his debut. This is Reed's debut. There's no way he could pull it off, right? But he stayed in there. His back was against the wall. Sway and Dubs were, how many times did they have game point? They had it so many times, but Reed just never gave up, man. He never gave up. And I feel like maybe Sway and Dubs, maybe they gave up. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it was literally amazing. And we saw a star rise to the occasion, and that was Reed. But also, let's give credit where credit is due. Day, an amazing player who dueled with Reed, too. I mean, these guys
and I was ready to cut you off and say, hey man, like, we're talking a lot about Reet here, but Day came out and popped off in this event. If it wasn't for his unbelievable 1v2 to save them from elimination, he loses that, it's over. He 1v2 to save their tournament against Sway and Dubs. It was incredible. And it wasn't like some 1v2, they were both low or he knocked them out of high ground. It was literally gunning, editing, building, just outplaying, pure mechanic skill, game sense, everything. He did it all in that play, and it was unbelievable to watch. I couldn't believe it. I know it was so unbelievable. You didn't believe he won. You thought he lost that, right?
Yeah, it was crazy because it seemed like they were collapsing on him, and then I was watching Dubs, and I thought Dubs hit the shot, but really, it was Day who hit a 180 pump shot to the dome with almost very little HP, so I thought it was like over. I thought Dubs won, and then they're like, no, Dubs lost, they're still in the fight, and I was like, oh my God. And they kept going for, I believe, another 10, 15 minutes back and forth, until Reed and Day closed out and won by 2, 19-17. It was unbelievable. And that's why I love being a caster of the BFC, you know? I saw that event firsthand. It was crazy, bro.
It was absolutely insane. I was sitting there right next to you, man. We were losing our minds. And it's those moments that are so amazing, and you just cherish every little part of it, you know? We were watching and we just couldn't believe it was happening. So that was a great match. And
speaking of last week, there's so many headlines that came out of that BFC. It was probably one of the most notable BFCs I've ever witnessed, and it will go down in history for years to come. I mean, we could go down the list, you know, with the collapse of Clix and Bucke as teammates. We have the longest zone wars in history with FaZe and him losing to who? To Reed, this new kid on the block, beating all these superstars with West Ping. It was unbelievable, man.
It was. I mean, there was so many storylines. You mentioned it, the Clix and Bucke collapse. Clix opted not to play with Yoldi, which was shocking because they've won so much together. And Yoldi, I mean, I feel like Yoldi doesn't really get the credit he deserves. Yeah, I feel like people don't realize that, oh, he's winning. I think people think he's only winning because he's with Clix. Yoldi has won so many times without Clix, whereas Clix has not won without Yoldi once. He has only won with Yoldi, whereas Yoldi has won without Clix twice. So I think people got to remember that. Yoldi, he's an incredible player, and he is the X factor. He proves it every single week, and he made it way further than Clix did this tournament. And he performed much better too. I mean, you look at Yoldi, he played with Slappin, you know. Slappin's a decent player, but I don't think he's top tier notch when it comes to BFC. I'd say he's around the tier 2 level, whereas, you know, Clix had Bucke on his team, arguably one of the most talented players in all of BFC.
I mean, and Yoldi proved it again with Slappin. He actually went to overtime against Clix and Bucke in round number 2 and 1. Yep. He knocked Clix out in the losers bracket. He sent him down to the losers bracket where Clix lost to, you know, unknown Kanata. So Yoldi did prove himself time and time again.
And not only did he best Clix, he did it on the back foot. They were down in that 0-3, and he fought back. And Mo, he carried that. I mean, Slappin, great player, incredible. You know, there's nobody like Slappin in this game. He's so good. But Yoldi single-handedly carried that matchup.
He did, and he had the will to win, and that's why you know, Mark was casting next to me. He was like, man, like, do you think Yoldi's down and out? I was like, you know what? Winning 6 championships in BFC, your mentality has to be strong. You have the championship mentality, and that's what we've seen with Yoldi. Even though he didn't win the whole event, he did make it to the semifinals. He was like literally 2 rounds away from making it to the finals, losing to unknown Kanata. I just believe that, you know, no disrespect to Slappin. If he had a little bit better teammate, he could have won the entire thing, I believe. But
I mean, if that teammate was Clix, what could have happened? Would we be talking about a completely different story here where Clix and Yoldi shut down the up-and-coming stars, Day and Reed? Possibly, but you know, it's 100% what ifs, and it's surprising going into another week, you see Clix opting not to play with Yoldi again. He's deciding, I'm going to play with FaZe, Melody, and Scrubs. When the interesting thing is, you know, going into this duos event, Kenny and Scrubs, I had FaZe DMing me saying they were so good, nobody's going to beat them. Like, you literally said it was a waste of time to show up to the event because they would dominate everybody. I sat there and I was like, this is FaZe DMing me telling me that. Like, what is going on? So I told them, dude, just play, show up. You know, I'm sure you could beat them. You've said this before about certain teams, and you've ended up beating them. And honestly, I wasn't too impressed with Kenny and Scrubs. I really wasn't. Yeah, they did decent, but, you know, they didn't make it too far.
I mean, honestly, like, they've only beaten one team, and that was Innocence and a repeat qualifying. They've actually lost to Yoldi and Slappin in the very first round in overtime, which was really insane. Yoldi, again, coming out on top. You know, in the back, he had Kenny and Scrubs.
And real quick, just to cut you off, Mo, the interesting thing about that is, too, Kenny and Slappin, they have played every single BFC together. You know that, right? Every single one of them. Well, guess what?
That's crazy.
Kenny was like, hey, Slappin, sorry, man. I'm going to play the Scrubs now because we're unstoppable. Slappin beat him. Slappin and Yoldi beat him, right? Like, how crazy is that? Everybody was so scared of this duo, and then Yoldi and Slappin take him out in the first round, And then it just was looking like Yoldi and Slappin were going to win the whole thing after they took out Clix. But then they ran into Reet and Day, which arguably was a really close match. I don't know what it was. Yoldi and Slappin, they started slow every single time. Every single time they were down 0-2, 0-3, and they had to fight back. I think Reet and Day were just a little too strong for them to play that comeback game. If they would have came out hot and strong, we could be talking again how Yoldi and Slappin maybe won this week. But that wasn't the case. And I'm very intrigued, though, to see what type of team he puts together. I think Yoldi might possibly team up with Keeney and Slappin. I'm not too sure yet. We're just going to have to wait and see. I've been waiting for his team. He always loves to wait till the last minute to tell me his teams. So we're just going to have to see who he decides to play with.
Something interesting I want to say about Yoldi and Slappin is even though they lost in the semifinals 5-3 against Reet and Day, you have to understand Reet and Day came out of round 2 playing over 3 rounds against some of the best Fortnite players in the world, Sway and Dubs. So going into the semifinals against Yoldi and Slappin, who were waiting for about an hour, right? They could have been cold. You know, I was watching Reet and Day, especially Reet, he was hitting 200 pumps. He was so warmed up, so focused, and you know, maybe that had an impact going into it. They were playing hot, especially the confidence, just beating FaZe, Sway, and Dubs in a crazy Zone Wars match. Just going into that next match confident and hot could have really won them that matchup against Yoldi and Slappin. But if the roles were reversed, let's say Yoldi and Slappin came out on top against Sway and Dubs, and Reet and Day had an hour to wait and they were cold, maybe Yoldi and Slappin would have 5-0 them. Who knows? Who knows? But what's crazy is that I do want to congratulate Reet and Day. And about that West team they were talking about, I mean, that could be a really, really scary team to watch.
Mo, I think this week is going to be the most interesting BFC week of all time. I know the one we just had was amazing and probably was the most epic one ever. Yeah. But I think this one is going to top it. I really do. I mean, we got Clix and Sway teaming up together. We have Reet coming out of nowhere with this God Squad from the West. Edgy, also a credible player from East. That roster's looking good, man.
Let's get some long-girl veggie fishy in there playing on over 100 ping.
So I don't know why, but EU players don't play Zone Wars as much. They don't take it as serious, and I've asked them, but EU they don't want to play on the high ping, even if it's 60. They're not interested in it. And they just don't play Zone Wars as much, so I don't think they're confident in coming and possibly winning. Whereas on the West, you know, Reet, he lives and breathes Zone Wars.
Yeah, no, I mean, these are unbelievable. And you know what's crazy is that we might even get CLDJ, you know, another West player, ex-Conguarda member. He could always show up in BFC. So if West does make a stand right now, if they win, I feel like a lot more West players would want to come to the BFC, even on high ping, just to prove that they're the dominant region. So I really do believe that CLGJ, Leno, Little, all these top players from West could come over to the BFC and start dominating. Who knows? This might be a NA West versus East rivalry going on here.
And I mean, that's what's so exciting about the BFC. And I actually tweeted it out today, Mo. Our goals, the sky is the ceiling for us, man. We would love to take BFC into official stadiums and do LAN events. And when it gets to that point, you know, ping is no longer a factor. So we could bring the Epic Whales, the Arkhams, then the Clixes and the Sways, put them all together, have them play on the same exact ping, and just see who really is the best. There's no excuses. So that's where we want to get. And for everybody watching, we actually almost had an event in Las Vegas for the BFC. It was going to be our launch tournament. Unfortunately, due to the times we live in, COVID-19, you know, it canceled our event early in March. But once everything clears up, Mo, we're going to be full throttle and ready to go doing live events in person where people watching, you guys can show up. You can see your favorite and the best players in Fortnite compete against each other and battle it out to show who the best of the best really is and what region is the best.
And if you're a player, I mean, these type of moments, these LANs, they would literally cement your legacy. You could literally go down in the Fortnite history books by winning a BFC in Las Vegas in 2021, right? Same with, you know, Bugge, right? Everybody will always remember that 16-year-old kid winning millions of dollars the first ever Fortnite World Cup. Well, with the BFC, we want to run events, you know. How often do you want to run events, TFG? Is it going to be like a once-a-year thing? Is it going to be every month? Like, what's in your head right now?
Well, I mean, right now we're in a situation where we will run as many as we can. You know, it comes down to sponsors right now. We're blessed. We have HyperX, we got G Fuel, we got ESTV, we got Repeat. You know, everybody believes in us, and we want to say thank you to those sponsors. They're incredible. I mean, we're using the HyperX gear right now to record this. Without them, none of this would be possible, and they believe in us, and we believe in the players. We believe in the community, you guys watching right now. So with everybody together, we're going to do as many as we can, you know, hopefully several a year. We can host live events all across the world, you know, maybe one day we'll be in London, Toronto, LA, New York, Atlanta, you know, maybe we'll do one in Dubai. Exactly. We got a lot of connections, and hopefully we can get it to that level. And that's what we want to do here with the BFC. And I can't wait, man. I can't wait. It's going to be an exciting future for us. This episode has been incredible. You know, you've brought us incredible, amazing insight about the players, what it's like casting the events. And I just want to say thank you, Mo, for coming on board today.
No, 100%. Thank you. It was a pleasure. I can't wait to cast BFC next Monday. It's going to be amazing, man. I just love being here. And like you said, the live events, that's the goal. And I want to see that happen so bad. So thanks to everybody, to you, to Kungarna, to our staff, to everybody behind the scenes, and especially thanks to our sponsors. Unbelievable. And yeah, no, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's gonna be it for you, Mo.
Have a great day, guys. Kenji Mo, we are out. Peace.
This is it. Can Yodi close it out?
Yodi, really looking for the pump shot.
Close it out! It's over! It's over!
One-on-one
situation.
He misses that shot, and that's crucial.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Bree is popping off right now, exploding.
It, guys.
And round number 34.
Let's play.
It's over!
You're gonna sneak in. He doesn't know.
Oh, the play by day. And
There
he
it
goes
is.
Kanata. It might
It's
be
a
over.
2v1.
2v1 unknown army.
They had the floor. He's gonna add it.
Right,
There it is.
it's over! It's over! The debut! Re and Day are your champions! 5-3 against Kanata and Unknown!